This is something that came across my desk in the last couple of weeks that I've thought a lot about. I wanted to share some of my thoughts with you and start a dialogue on what you think about this issue. So a couple of weeks ago, a Reddit user named GreatBigDog69 posted a letter that he got from the National Park Service dated July 13th that said on June 22nd, you drove your Subaru Crosstrek out onto the Colorado River Overlook Trail in the Needles District of Canyonlands National Parks, and shame on you. You drove an all-wheel drive, and we clearly stated you needed a four-wheel drive. Now, this has had the whole internet up in arms about the all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive debate, which is a whole other can of worms that I have written about and will link in the description, but would love to do a video on someday. I think the other parts of this story are more interesting to me. First, the general backlash that this user has received and is receiving from various different user groups about, what an idiot, how you didn't know a Subaru was four-wheel drive, or what were you doing, or what a dummy. I want to make it very clear that I think this guy is not at fault, per se, and has been really gracious, open to their mistakes, and willing to learn. And I really think that we need to give him the credit that he deserves. As for the larger issue of all-wheel drives in national parks, this seems to feel like a new issue to people. It's definitely not. So as far back as at least 2015, that's the farthest permit that I could find, Canyonlands has always said that a high-clearance, low-range, four-wheel drive vehicle is required for all roads in the Needles District, most roads in the Island of the Sky District, that's the White Rim, and all roads in the Maze District. Yeah, so my permits back then made it very clear. And it's on the website today that I'll link in the description and put up on screen here, that this is still the case. That is still on their website that high clearance, low range, four-wheel drive applies. Before we go any further, I want to say that the user, GreatBigDog69, I'm just going to call him Great Big Dog, thought that he was in the right. He had a Subaru Crosstrek, and it has four wheels, and all of them are driven. Therefore, four-wheel drive. He's since learned, grown, we move on. So, this isn't a new thing. Why do they do it? Are they trying to discriminate, trying to prevent people, in their Justy GLs with a 4-inch lift from experiencing the national parks? No. So look, there's a lot of off-roading out west, a lot of public land. The national park system has very little off-road trails as a part of their actual system, and they're very within their rights to regulate it however they want. They get the most visitors out of all the other trails in the area, and they would be held some kind of liable for damages inside the park, as well as injuries and deaths that result from misuse. They have a vested interest in keeping people safe and preserving the park. So they've implemented restrictions that are reasonable to prevent people from doing a dumb, as I like to say. So let's talk about some of the problems that I think that this issue has opened up, made bare. Number one, the National Park Service has a restriction that's based on a technical requirement that is not well understood and is not accurate or clear. It is accurate to a degree, but it is not clear, obviously. Great Big Dog thought that he was in the right. So that is an issue. The other issue, of course, is there's a big confusion in the market regarding what these technologies are, how they work, what counts as what. symmetrical all-wheel drive, quattro, 4Motion. We talk about different full-time systems versus on-demand systems, couplings and different things. And it gets pretty confusing. And to add to that, of course, EVs don't fit this mold at all. A good example would be GMC Hummer EV, which I don't think would draw a lot of argument that is totally an acceptable vehicle to go off-roading in. But it isn't four-wheel drive in the traditional sense, and it does not have low range. The letter of the law would state that that is an unacceptable vehicle on this trail. Same goes for Rivian, other electric off-roaders in the future, or single-speed off-roaders that are above average relative to the marketplace. Honda Passport, for example. I've been a longtime follower of John DZ Adventuring, and I'll link him here. And what he's done with his Honda has been amazing. He'll be the first to admit that there's definitely pros and cons to that lifestyle, and that just because you have a semi-capable single-speed all-wheel drive system does not mean that you're good to go wherever anybody else goes. That's a whole technical discussion that I don't want to get into. I hope that you read the article that I wrote. It's long, it's dry, but I am so tired of this debate on what counts as all-wheel drive and what's four-wheel drive and the list of haves and have-nots. Hopefully that clears it up. The other problem that I see is that all trails in the Needles, all trails in the Maze, nearly all trails in Island of the Sky require a permit, a Dayuse permit. It's not a complicated permit to get. It's free. It's usually unlimited or practically unlimited. And it's usually just happens on site. You wander up, you say, hey, I'd like to go here. You fill out a minor amount of paperwork, name, address, vehicle, make, model. That way you're protected in case you have an issue on the trail. They'll be able to check their register and say, so-and-so, might still be out on the trail. This is where we expect them to be. It allows you to have a conversation with the ranger. They can look at your vehicle and make a determination, or at least have a conversation with you. If you put down GMC Hummer EV and they say, I'm not sure what that is, can I go take a look at it? Great. Yeah, you don't need to have a conversation about low-range gear reduction if you've got 37-inch mud terrains, right? But this is not something that would happen via a computer. You put that in, it'd go, I don't know what that is. Anyway, the moral of the story is that all the trails in the Needles, save Colorado River Overlook, require a Dayuse permit. And I think it's really odd because they do hold it to the same restrictions as other trails in their system, and the trailhead is literally in their parking lot. Well, maybe like out of the parking lot and then back onto the trail. It's as close as it could possibly be to the rangers. And frankly, if you've made it out to the ranger station in the Needles district, there's nothing else out there. So what's it going to hurt to go into the field office? They're going to be thrilled to see you. You'll have a nice conversation. It'll take 5 minutes. Go to the bathroom, get some water, and then you'll have clarity for your expectations and their expectations. They'll be able to have clarity about your skill level, your vehicle level. Be easy. That's one solution. The other solution is gatekeeping. And I don't mean like online, your Subaru's stupid kind of gatekeeping. I mean like literally put an obstacle at the start of the trail that is harder than the average challenge on that trail. And you roll up to that and you'll know what you're in for. And if you're the guy with the lifted Justy GL with whatever, a torque locker, you're going to just laugh, continue on. If you're the guy who just rolled in from Missouri in a Toyota Highlander, probably not going to bother. So it's a really simple and cheap way. And a step further than that, a step cheaper than that, is just to put up a sign that says very clearly, this trail is for high clearance, low range, four-wheel drive vehicles. All-wheel drive is not four-wheel drive. Please see the Ranger for questions. Or, know the difference. I've seen that one in Arizona. Four-wheel drive is not all-wheel drive. Know the difference. Very, very, very simple things. So, I don't want to lay blame on the park. I don't want to lay blame on Great Big Dog. I think that this is a learning opportunity for both situations. If you're watching this and you wonder if you would have a vehicle, if your vehicle would be suitable for this trail, which I've done, then the moral of the story is check with the Ranger. They'll ask. I've done a dozen trails in the Needles, and all the trails that they ask that require a permit, they'll ask. They'll say, do you have a lift kit? Do you have sway bar disconnects or sliders? They're not going to be four-wheel drive experts. Don't expect that. But they are going to wonder if you're capable. If you say, oh, don't worry about it, I drive a Subaru, they're going to say, let's talk. If you say, oh, I've got a Wrangler, they'll say, oh, okay. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be a good driver. I've got a great story about a couple from back east that rented a Wrangler and decided to go to Hell's Kitchen off Elephant Hill and had no clue what they were getting into, that we helped guide through that trail. But at least your vehicle won't be a hazard out on the trail. Hopefully that clears things up. I just wanted to make a quick video about this. Quick for me. If you have any questions about the technology, I would love to entertain those in the comments. I'm over on opposite-lock.com pretty frequently. I write for the Autopian, Jalopnik, and the Drive. You'll see some of my stuff there. So if you see Hammerhead Fist Punch at any of those places, come talk to me. I would love to have a conversation about it. All right, everybody. See you on the trail.